This story takes us back almost 20,000 years ago, to a time when humans lived divided into small tribes. In this story, we see the ancient European people living together in tribes, surviving and hunting in groups. Among them, we are introduced to the chief of one such tribe. His name was Ergun. A few months later, winter was approaching. So along with his tribesmen, he set out for hunting to gather food for the cold season. Right in front of them was a massive herd of bison. All of them crawled carefully closer to the herd. Ergun, the chief of the tribe, waited for the perfect moment and then signaled the attack. Instantly, they all charged at the herd. To escape the hunters, the bison began running in the opposite direction, and one after another, many of them fell into a deep gorge. But one furious wild bison survived and charged straight toward Noyan, the son of Ergun. It was Noyan's very first hunt. He had no idea how to save himself. Ergun shouted at his son to get out of the way, but Noyan froze in fear and ran blindly. The wild bison stormed toward him, lifted him up on its sharp horns, and ran towards the edge of the cliff. Ergun, the leader of the tribe, hurled his spear to save his son. The spear pierced the beast, but even while injured, the bison did not release Noyan. Instead, it tossed him high in the air, flinging him towards the cliffside. And here, the story suddenly cuts to a flashback. A week earlier. Flashback. 1 week earlier. We see the people of the tribe preparing for the hunt. They were sharpening stones, crafting sharp weapons. This wasn't just preparation, it was a ritual. Only those who could craft the sharpest weapon would be selected to join the hunting party. Noyan, son of Ergun, also managed to pass this test. That same night, Noyan's mother pleaded with Ergun, "Do not take him with you, he's still just a boy. I love him too much and I cannot bear to lose him." But Ergun replied, "Winter is near, and at this time of year, every man must hunt. If we do not hunt, we will starve when the snow falls. And Noyan must prove himself that he truly is my son." The next morning, the entire tribe set out for the hunt. But Noyan's mother was restless, her heart heavy with worry for her son. Ergun comforted her, "Do not fear, nothing will happen to him." After walking some distance, they encountered another tribe also out hunting for the winter. Both groups continued their dangerous journey until they reached a great stone monument built long ago by their ancestors. This path was infamous, for many of their forefathers had lost their lives crossing it. That's why their ancestors had left behind the stone structure in remembrance of the fallen. On their way forward, they spotted a wild boar. Ergun's men injured it with their spears. He then told Noyan, "You must finish it." But Noyan had never killed before. His hands trembled. He couldn't do it. So Ergun snatched the stone dagger from him and killed the boar himself. Furious, he scolded his son, "I never thought you would turn out to be such a coward. In this world, only the strong survive. This is the law of the jungle." That night, as they roasted the boar and ate in the darkness, strange sounds echoed around them. Ergun warned everyone to stay alert. Suddenly, a lion appeared, snatched one of the boys, and disappeared into the darkness. The next morning, in memory of that boy, they built a small stone grave and resumed their journey in search of more prey. But even after walking for miles, no hunt appeared. Tired, they finally decided to rest inside a cave for the night. There, Ergun marked star symbols on Noyan's hand and told him, "These stars will shine in the sky at night. Follow them, and they will always lead you back home. It is a map. If ever you are lost during a hunt, it will guide you safely to your tribe." The next morning, they continued their hunt and soon discovered the footprints of wild bison. Everyone rejoiced. Now the great hunt for the bison began. Back to the present. This was the moment when the furious wild bison had tossed Noyan from the cliff. In the present, we see Noyan hanging desperately to a rock ledge. Ergun rushed toward him, shouting, "Don't give up, son! I'll save you!" But the stone broke under Noyan's grip. He plummeted down the cliffs, crashing painfully before finally landing on a narrow ledge in between. Ergun wanted to climb down to save him, but his tribesmen restrained him. "There's no path down. Your son is gone. We cannot lose you too. You are our chief, our protector. You must lead us back home." Ergun refused to believe them. All night, he sat on the cliff's edge, shouting his son's name. But by dawn, reality hit him. His boy was gone. In sorrow, the tribe built a small stone grave for Noyan and began their journey back home with the meat they had hunted. But not long after they left, a vulture landed near Noyan's body, pecking at him. And then, his eyes suddenly opened. Noyan was alive. He pushed the vulture away and screamed for his father, but no one answered. Everyone had gone. He was all alone now. Refusing to give up, Noyan tried climbing the cliff, but the gorge was too deep. Then nature gave him another chance. Heavy rain began to pour, and the gorge below slowly filled with water, turning into a river. Realizing that if he jumped now, the water would break his fall, he leapt. Noyan hipped to water and blacked out. When he regained consciousness the next day, he found himself alive, but with a badly injured leg. With sheer willpower, he bound his broken leg with sticks, making it possible to walk again. He climbed back to the place from which he had fallen and discovered the grave his people had built for him. Tears rolled down his eyes. His father and tribe truly believed he was dead. Suddenly, he heard strange noises. To protect himself, Noyan quickly climbed a nearby tree and spent the whole night up there. The next morning, as he went searching for water, he saw a pack of wolves approaching. They ran straight toward him. Some of them lunged at him. Noyan tried to escape back to the tree, but one wolf sank its teeth into his leg. With his stone knife, Noyan stabbed the beast, wounding it, and managed to climb the tree. All night long, the wolves waited below for him, but by morning, the pack was gone. Only the wounded wolf he had stabbed remained, still lying weak under the tree.
Noyan first takes his knife and carves a spear for himself, preparing to kill the wolf. But when he goes near the wounded wolf, his heart softens. Mercy overtakes him and he changes his mind. He decides not to kill it. Instead, he carefully ties the wolf's mouth shut with cloth and lifts it up, carrying it back to the same cave where he had once stayed with his tribe. The next morning, Noyan goes out to search for herbs. After gathering some, he crushes them and applies the paste to his injured leg. Meanwhile, as he bends to drink water, he notices the wolf has freed itself from the rope tied around its mouth. For a moment, Noyan panics, but then he calms down and slowly approaches with water. The wolf trembles in fear as he comes closer, but Noyan speaks gently. "I will not hurt you. I want to save your life." The wolf drinks the water, and in that instance, it understands. This boy means no harm. Noyan then applies the same herbal medicine he used for his leg onto the wolf's wounds. Along with that, he shares the insects he had gathered for himself, letting the wolf eat them too. From this moment, a fragile bond begins to form between the two. Later, before sunset, Noyan hunts a rabbit he hadn't eaten for hours. That night, with great difficulty, he makes a fire, roasts the rabbit, and even shares a portion of the meat with the wolf. Both were badly injured, so they remain in the cave together for several days, recovering side by side. One night, Noyan looks at the tattoos of stars on his hand, the same stars that his father Ergun had carved on him. Glancing at the night sky, he whispers, "I must go home. I must return to my parents." He then tells the wolf, "You too should return to your pack." The next morning, he prepares for the journey. He turns to the wolf and says, "Go back to your home before the snow begins to fall." With that, Noyan sets off. But soon he notices that the wolf is following him. This wolf, whom Noyan had now named Alpha, continues trailing behind. Even after walking far, Alpha does not leave his side. Noyan tries several times to chase him away, but Alpha refuses. The truth was simple. Alpha had grown attached. After all, Noyan had saved his life. At that moment, Alpha spots a squirrel and tries to hunt it, but he fails. Noyan realizes Alpha is hungry and gives him the food he had saved for himself. For the first time, Alpha eats directly from Noyan's hand. Their friendship becomes unbreakable. Later, Alpha hunts a rabbit, which they both share. That night, they sleep beside each other like true companions. The next morning, Alpha wakes Noyan by licking his face. Annoyed, Noyan laughs and says, "You smell terrible." He playfully pushes Alpha into the river. They both splash and bathe together, and Alpha even catches a fish to eat. Afterwards, Noyan continues his journey. That night, as they sit by the fire, Alpha suddenly senses something. Soon, a pack of wolves appears. Alpha approaches them. It was his family. Noyan understands immediately and tells him, "You belong with your family. Go with them." Alpha leaves with his pack. The next morning, Noyan resumes his journey alone. The cold had grown harsher, snow falling heavily all around. Struggling through the blizzard, he sees wolves in the distance devouring a dead animal. Among them, he spots Alpha, but Alpha's companions refuse to let him eat. Noyan recognizes him and runs towards his friend. As he does, the ice beneath his feet suddenly cracks open. He plunges into the frozen lake. Alpha sees this and bolts towards him, desperately trying to break the thick ice with his weight. But the ice is too strong. Underwater, Noyan begins losing his breath. In the last moment, he manages to pull out his knife and shatters the ice himself. Gasping for air, he emerges from the freezing water. Reunited once more, the two of them cling together. To survive the cold, Noyan quickly lights a fire, removes his wet clothes, and warms himself by the flames. The next morning, with Alpha by his side again, Noyan resumes his journey. Not far ahead, he spots a man. Overjoyed, he rushes forward, only to discover the man had frozen to death. Saddened, he searches the man's tent, but finds nothing useful. He does, however, take the bow and arrows with him. Soon after, a pack of hyenas began chasing them. Noyan and Alpha run for their lives, finally taking shelter in a cave. They escape the hyenas, but this cave belonged to even a deadlier predator, a black panther. The beast leaps at Noyan, but Alpha bravely attacks him first. The two animals clash fiercely. Seeing Alpha grow weaker, Noyan quickly aims his bow and shoots the panther, killing it. Alpha survives, but his body is covered in deep wounds. Noyan tends his injuries, whispers his thanks, and promises never to leave him again. The next morning, they set out once more. After walking for miles, Noyan finally sees a great monument, the one built long ago by their ancestors. Overwhelmed with joy, he realized he had been on the right path all along. His tribe was now close. But suddenly, Alpha collapsed. Exhaustion and wounds had left him too weak to move. Without hesitation, Noyan lifts Alpha into his arms and continues forward. The blizzard grows fierce. Weeks of traveling had already drained him, but Noyan refuses to give up. Step by step, he struggles towards his tribe. At last, in the distance, he sees them, his people. At the same time, his father Ergun also notices the figure approaching. After so many weeks, the sight of his home fills his heart with hope. Finally, staggering with the last of his strength, he reaches the tribe and collapses. His parents run to him. At first, they cannot believe it. Their son, whom they thought was dead, was alive. Tears of joy flood their eyes. Barely conscious, Noyan whispers, "Save Alpha." Then he faints. Hours later, he wakes inside his home. His parents, his people, all gathered around him. And right beside him lay Alpha. But then they notice something surprising. Alpha had given birth to pups. Noyan is stunned. Alpha was not just a wolf, she was a mother. Despite being pregnant, she had stood by him through every step of the journey. Noyan hugs her tightly, silently thanking her for everything. Weeks later, Alpha's pups had grown stronger. It was the beginning of a new era, an era where humans and animals could form bonds of true friendship. In the end, we see Noyan, after enduring countless hardships, finally back home with Alpha and her pups by his side. And with this, the story comes to an end.